So we're checking in on our peppers and chilies, a wonderful warm season crop. They are growing. They're still growing slowly because that's what they do. Don't be alarmed if your peppers and chilies grow a little slowly. That's just how they do their thing. And at this point, they're starting to set some fruit. So you can see down here some little green peppers. And this is a variety called lipstick. And they make sort of small, medium-sized red snacking sweet peppers. I call them snacking peppers because they rarely make it back to the house from the garden. In my garden, they're like a fun thing to just snack on while I'm out here, and children love picking them. They don't get that big. But there's a wide variety of different kinds of peppers and chilies. As I imagine you know, they're kind of a pretty well-known summer vegetable. And they all will start out with green fruit. So green peppers, purple peppers, orange peppers, yellow peppers, red peppers, any color that they eventually will be, start out green. And so you can harvest any kind of pepper or chili in its green phase and eat it, and it'll have that sort of green pepper, green chili flavor. But some varieties are bred to be harvested at that green stage, and others are more bred to be harvested at a different stage. So if what you're going for is green peppers, I really highly suggest getting a variety that is bred for green harvesting, because they tend to be larger when they're green, and peppers that are bred to be harvested when they're more fully mature and have reached their other color, they tend to keep growing and growing and reach their final size once they have that color. So just keep that in mind when you're choosing peppers. If you love green peppers or green chilies, choose a variety that's specifically intended to be harvested at that green stage. That being said, I've definitely come out here already a couple times when I'm cooking up a meal and picked off a couple of green ones just because I really want to have some peppers in a dish. Even though they aren't totally ready and these aren't a green variety, you can still eat them at the green stage no matter what the variety. So as you can tell, there's still a bunch of flowering going on. So peppers don't just flower and set one set of fruit. They'll continue to flower and fruit throughout the season. And so like all the other vegetables like that, like beans and cucumbers and zucchinis and those vegetables that we harvest the immature or mature fruits on, we want to keep them picked. So once they get to the stage where you want to harvest them, whether it's a green or a purple or a red or whatever it is, once they get to that stage for harvesting, you want to keep harvesting them, even if there's some that are over mature, to stimulate flowering so that you get a bigger harvest window. So these, like I said, are not a green variety. I'm not going to harvest them now, but the way that you would harvest them is just snap them off. Some of them snap off really easily. Other times you want to use pruners and cut them off right at the base here. So that's harvesting. And another consideration with peppers, especially in a climate like this where it's rainy and stormy all throughout the summer, or if you live in a place that's dry but rather windy, is that you will want to give them some support. So these are at the stage where they're ready for some support. Like down the row there, I can see some are already beginning to flop over. So what I'm going to do is use the Florida weave style support, which is basically, you can see I've pounded these posts. I've chosen to do them every 4 plants. Some people like to do them in between every other plant. I have a fairly long bed, so that was unrealistic for me, but probably don't want to go a longer stretch than every 4 plants. And I'm going to show you basically the Florida weave is I'm going to tie this string, which I got from a bale of hay, to the post, and then I'm going to zigzag in and out around the plants, tying it to the next post, going down the line, and then coming back, zigzagging the other way, so that I end up sandwiching each plant between strings. So it's being kind of squished between the string. And I'm going to do that carefully so it's not literally being squished up in a bunch, but it's being, supported on either side so that it remains upright. And this is especially important with varieties that get particularly tall or have particularly large fruit, because the weight of the fruit can take down the plant, or just the top heavy nature of a tall plant can lead to it flopping over. And as I've mentioned before, sometimes they'll flop over and continue to grow, but then the peppers will form in contact with the ground, and you'll have a way higher chance of rot, of insect damage. Just, you don't want fruits, and plus they'll just be dirty. So you don't want fruits to be forming in contact with the ground if you can help it. So that's the idea with trellising support for peppers. Another option, if you just have a couple of pepper plants, is to tie each plant to a stake. So if I were to do that, this stake would be just a little bit more in line with the plant. It could be that close. And what you do in that case is basically just tie a string to the stake and tie it around the plant. So it's pretty simple. And if you have like 3 or 4 pepper plants and they're scattered around your garden, or if you're working with a container garden situation, then that method of support is going to be more practical than doing this whole weave. The weave really works for long straight rows. And I've used T-posts for my stakes because I have a lot of them around for animal fencing, and we just find them really versatile and useful on the farm. And because they have these little nubbins. So when I wrap string around them, I don't have to tie the string super, super tight in order to keep the string at the height that I've tied it at. So if you're using bamboo or like round poles, round stakes of some kind, you have to really tie the string around tightly so that as the pepper moves around and the weight shifts and changes, it doesn't just slide down the post or the stake. And then the whole string situation will slide down the plant. You really want the string to be, midway up the plant so that it's really giving it support. If you support it 2 inches off the ground, that's not really providing that much support. The Florida weave is cool because as plants grow taller, you can just do another course of string. So I'm just gonna do one today. And then as these plants grow bigger, in a few weeks, I may come back and do another course so that they have 2 layers of support as they get bigger. And they need more support because the fruit is getting heavy and they're just getting taller. So that's the approach to supporting peppers. And now I'm going to show you how I do it.